The moment I heard the champagne cork pop, I knew this baby shower would be my breaking point. 7 years of swallowing their backhanded comments. 7 years of protecting a secret that wasn't mine to keep. My name is Faith, and this is how I finally stopped being the Morgan family doormat. To my beautiful sister Hallie, Stephen raised his glass, his perfect smile never wavering. You're going to be an amazing mother. I gripped my champagne flute tighter, watching my husband toast his pregnant sister while 20 pairs of eyes deliberately avoided looking in my direction. The country club's garden room buzzed with expensive perfume and judgment. Open this one next. Linda, my mother-in-law, thrust a pink-wrapped package into Hallie's hands. It's from your cousin Rachel. Hallie tore through the paper, revealing a tiny onesie with Mommy's Little Miracle embroidered across the front. A card fluttered to the ground. Oh, let me read it. Linda snatched up the card before anyone else could move. To the real woman of the family, you'll be such a wonderful mother. Isn't that precious? The room fell silent. I felt the familiar burn of tears threatening to spill, but forced them back. Not here. Not now. Well, Hallie giggled, shooting me a look that could freeze hell. I guess some of us were just born for motherhood. I waited for Stephen to say something. Anything. He just sipped his champagne, suddenly fascinated by the flower arrangements. Faith, dear. Linda's voice dripped with fake concern. Have you considered seeing that specialist I mentioned? Dr. Harrison has worked miracles for women with your condition. I appreciate your concern, Linda, I managed, my voice steady despite the rage building in my chest. But my medical decisions are private. Private? Hallie snorted. Nothing's private when it comes to family. We're all just worried about you. And Stephen, of course. He'd make such an amazing father. My husband shifted uncomfortably in his chair. If they only knew about his secret vasectomy 5 years ago. If they knew about the countless fertility tests I'd endured to maintain his lie. Speaking of Stephen, Linda continued, I was talking to Margaret at church, and her daughter just had her 3rd baby. Remember Jessica? She was in your year at school, Stephen. Such a fertile family. Mom, Stephen warned half-heartedly, but the damage was done. Juliana, my best friend and saving grace, squeezed my hand under the table. She was the only one who knew the truth. Maybe we should open more presents. Abel, Hallie's husband, attempted to diffuse the tension. Poor guy had no idea what he'd married into. Of course, Linda clapped her hands. Faith, be a dear and collect the gift bows for the rehearsal bouquet. I stood up, mechanical smile in place, and reached for a discarded bow. That's when I heard it. Hallie's stage whisper to her friend Marley. God, can you imagine if I turned out like her? Daddy would be so disappointed. At least one daughter can give him grandchildren. The bow crumpled in my fist. 7 years of secrets. 7 years of taking their abuse to protect Stephen's fragile ego. 7 years of watching him stand silently by while his family tore me apart. Actually, I heard myself say, my voice carrying across the suddenly quiet room, I think I'm feeling a bit under the weather. Must be something going around. Oh no! Linda's concern was as fake as her highlights. You're not coming down with what you had at Easter, or Christmas, or Hallie's engagement party? Scattered laughter rippled through the room. I caught Stephen's eye, saw the warning there. Keep quiet. Keep the peace. Keep the secret. I grabbed my purse and stood up straight, channeling every ounce of dignity I had left. Congratulations, Hallie. I'm sure you'll be exactly the kind of mother everyone expects you to be. The walk to my car was a blur. My hands shook as I fumbled with the keys, but I managed to hold it together until I was safely inside. Then I saw it, the invitation to next month's Morgan family reunion, stuck mockingly to my dashboard. That's when something inside me snapped. They wanted to know why I hadn't given them a grandchild? Fine. I pulled out my phone and typed a quick message to Juliana. Remember when you said I should stop protecting him? You were right. Time to show the Morgans what a real woman looks like. I started the car, a plan already forming in my mind. They thought I was weak, pathetic, less than, but they were about to learn that the quiet ones, the ones who sit back and observe, who keep the secrets and weather the storms, those are the ones you should fear the most, because we know where all the bodies are buried, and I was done being their gravedigger. You're going to need a stronger drink than that, Juliana said, sliding a shot of tequila across her kitchen counter. The wine I'd been nursing wasn't cutting it. I can't believe I let it go on this long. I knocked back the shot, welcoming the burn. 7 years, Jules. 7 years of tests, treatments, and tears while he just watched. Start from the beginning. Juliana pulled up a stool. You've never told me exactly what happened. I traced the rim of the empty shot glass. Remember when Stephen and I first got married? How excited Linda was about grandchildren. God, yes. She had baby names picked out before you even said, I do. Well, after 6 months of trying, Stephen suggested we see a fertility specialist. I thought he was being proactive, supportive even. I laughed bitterly. Turns out, he already knew exactly what the problem was. The vasectomy, Juliana whispered. He had it done 3 months after our wedding. 3 months, Jules. While I was still writing thank you notes for our wedding gifts, he was making sure we could never have children. But the fertility treatments, all for show. I pulled out my phone, scrolling through years of calendar entries. Look at this. Hormone therapy, invasive tests, experimental procedures. I went through hell while he sat there in doctors' offices, playing the concerned husband. Why didn't you expose him then? Because I loved him, my voice cracked. Because he cried and told me his family would disown him if they knew. He said he'd never wanted children, that his parents had pushed him into this perfect son role his whole life. I felt sorry for him. Juliana refilled our shots. And now? I pulled up the photos I discovered last week. Now I know he was screwing Hallie's best friend Marley while I was injecting myself with hormones that made me sick. Juliana nearly choked on her drink. Marley? The one from the baby shower? The very same. Want to know the best part? She's pregnant? No. Yes. But here's where it gets interesting. I leaned forward. Remember my friend Annalise, who works at the medical center? She called me yesterday. Seems Stephen's been trying to bribe someone to falsify his medical records. He wants all evidence of his vasectomy erased. Holy shit! Juliana grabbed my hand. Faith, you have to tell them everything. Oh, I will. I pulled out a USB drive. I've been collecting evidence for years without even realizing it. Every medical bill, every appointment, every treatment he insisted I try. And now, thanks to his sloppy password habits, I have every email between him and Marley. What are you going to do? The doorbell rang before I could answer. We both jumped. That'll be Annalise, I said, checking my watch. I asked her to bring something. Juliana opened the door, and Annalise rushed in, clutching a manila envelope. You won't believe what I found, she said, spreading papers across the counter. Stephen came to the clinic last week, offering our records clerk $5,000 to lose his file. Did she take it? No, but she did make copies of everything first. Annalise pointed to a document. Look at the date. He had the vasectomy exactly 3 months after your wedding. It was planned, Faith. He never intended to have children with you. I felt strangely calm as I examined the proof of my husband's betrayal. You know what the worst part is? I would have understood if he'd just been honest. We could have adopted, used a donor, or even chosen to be child-free. But he let his family destroy me instead. So what's the plan? Juliana asked, studying my face. I pulled out the invitation to the Morgan family reunion. They're having their annual gathering next month. Everyone will be there. Linda, Yahir, Hallie, even precious Marley. You're not... I am. I smiled, feeling lighter than I had in years. But first, we need to lay some groundwork. Linda needs to start doubting her perfect son. Hallie needs to get suspicious of her best friend. And Stephen, I held up the medical records. Stephen needs to realize that his carefully constructed house of cards is about to come crashing down. Faith, Annalise said carefully, are you sure about this? Once you start, there's no going back. I thought about the baby shower, about 7 years of humiliation and lies, about the woman I used to be, the one who believed in protecting others at the cost of herself. They wanted a show? I gathered the documents, carefully organizing them into my file. I'll give them a fucking Broadway production. Juliana raised her shot glass. To karma? No, I corrected her, clinking my glass against hers. To truth. It's time the Morgans learned what that word really means. You're being ridiculous, Faith. Stephen's voice carried across Linda's immaculate dining room. Mom just wants what's best for us. I pushed my untouched salmon around my plate, watching Linda beam at her son from across the table. Sunday family dinner had become an Olympic sport in passive aggression. What's best for us? I set down my fork. Was it best when she suggested I try essential oils for my barren womb last week? Don't be dramatic, Hallie interjected, one hand resting on her growing belly. Mom's just excited about becoming a grandmother. Finally. The emphasis on finally made my blood boil. I caught Marley shifting uncomfortably in her seat next to Hallie, avoiding eye contact with everyone, especially Stephen. Speaking of grandchildren, Linda chirped, I ran into Jessica's mother at the club yesterday. She's expecting her 4th. Some women are just naturally blessed that way. Mother, Stephen warned, but his tone lacked conviction. Same old pattern. Pretend to defend me, then let them continue their attack. What? Linda's innocent act wouldn't fool a toddler. I'm simply saying some women are more suited for motherhood than others. I took a slow sip of wine. You're right, Linda. Some women are more suited for certain roles, like being honest with their families. Stephen's head snapped up. Marley's fork clattered against her plate. What's that supposed to mean? Hallie demanded. Nothing, Stephen cut in quickly. Faith's just being sensitive again. Sensitive? I laughed, the sound sharp enough to make Linda flinch. Is that what we're calling it now? Maybe, Hallie said, her voice dripping with venom. If you spent less time being sensitive and more time focusing on your fertility issues, you wouldn't be in this situation. Hallie, Abel finally spoke up, looking horrified at his wife's words. No, Abel. Let her finish. I turned to Hallie. What situation would that be exactly? Well, Hallie glanced at her mother for support. If you can't fulfill your role as a wife, maybe you should consider other options. Are you suggesting divorce? I kept my voice steady, even as I felt Stephen tense beside me. She's not suggesting anything, Linda interrupted. But darling, you have to admit, Stephen deserves a chance at fatherhood. I pulled out my phone, opened my email, and clicked send. Interesting perspective, Linda. Almost as interesting as the medical records I just forwarded to your husband. The color drained from Stephen's face. Across the table, Yahir's phone buzzed. What records? Stephen's voice cracked. Oh, just some paperwork I've been collecting. I stood up, smoothing my dress. Yahir, you might want to pay special attention to the dates, particularly the one from 3 months after your son's wedding. Faith! Stephen grabbed my arm. What are you doing? I yanked free. Taking your mother's advice. Being less sensitive. I don't understand. Linda looked between us. What records? Ask your perfect son, I said, grabbing my purse. Ask him about his secret surgery. Ask him why I really can't give you grandchildren. Stephen? Linda's voice had lost its smug edge. What is she talking about? Nothing, he stammered. She's lying. She's just bitter about... About what? I cut him off. About the fertility treatments you watched me endure? About the hormones that made me sick? About the thousands we spent on specialists when you knew exactly why I couldn't get pregnant? Yahir looked up from his phone, his face ashen. Stephen, what did you do? I should go. Marley suddenly stood, nearly knocking over her water glass. "Sit down," I said quietly. "We wouldn't want you to stress yourself out in your condition." The room went deadly silent. Hallie's head whipped toward her best friend. "What condition?" "Faith, please," Stephen begged. "Please what? Keep your secrets? Protect your reputation?" I walked to the door, then turned back. "You know what's funny? I would have kept every single one of your secrets if you just stood up for me once. Just once." "I don't understand what's happening." Linda's voice had lost its authority, replaced by confusion and fear. "Don't worry, Linda, you will." I smiled, channeling every fake expression of concern she'd ever given me. "In fact, I think it's time everyone understood exactly what's been happening in your perfect family." "Where are you going?" Stephen called after me. "To my lawyer's office. I have a few more documents to add to my file." I paused in the doorway. "Oh, and Marley, you might want to tell Hallie about last month's doctor's appointment before someone else does. After all, nothing's private when it comes to family, right?" I closed the door on their stunned faces, but not before I heard Hallie's shrill voice. "Marley, what is she talking about? What doctor's appointment?" In my car, my hands shook as I gripped the steering wheel. My phone buzzed with messages from Stephen, but I ignored them. Instead, I called Juliana. "How did it go?" she asked. "Phase 1 complete," I said, starting the engine. "Now we wait for the bomb to explode. And then we light the fuse for the grand finale." I found Stephen in his home office that night, frantically deleting emails. The soft glow of his computer screen illuminated the panic on his face. "A bit late for spring cleaning, isn't it?" I leaned against the doorframe. He jumped, nearly knocking over his whiskey glass. "Jesus, Faith! I thought you were staying at Juliana's." "Clearly." I walked over and perched on the edge of his desk. "Having trouble with your inbox? This isn't funny." His voice trembled. "What you did at dinner? You had no right." "No right?" I picked up his whiskey and took a sip. "Like you had no right to make me think I was broken for 7 years. I never said you were broken." "No, you just let your family say it instead." I set down the glass. "The vasectomy was your choice, Stephen. I could have accepted that. What I can't accept is that you stood there, silent, while I went through hell." "I was protecting us." "You were protecting yourself." I pulled out my phone. "Just like you're protecting yourself with Marley." The color drained from his face. "What are you talking about? Really? That's the route you want to take?" I opened my photos and held up the screen. "Because I have some interesting security camera footage from the Golden Grove Hotel that suggests otherwise." "You had me followed?" "I didn't have to. The front desk manager is my college roommate. She called me 3 weeks ago, concerned about my husband checking in with a pregnant woman who wasn't his wife." Stephen slumped in his chair. "Faith, I can explain." "Can you explain this too?" I played the audio recording. Marley's voice filled the room. "What are we going to do? Hallie's going to figure it out soon. I can't keep wearing loose clothes forever." "Turn it off," Stephen whispered. "Why? Isn't this what you wanted? A baby? Or does it only count if it's with someone your mother approves of?" "You don't understand. It wasn't supposed to happen like this." "No?" I stood up. "How was it supposed to happen? Were you going to keep lying to me while starting a secret family with your sister's best friend? I never meant to hurt you." "Bullshit," my voice cracked. "You hurt me every single day for 7 years. Every time your mother made a snide comment about my fertility. Every time Hallie flaunted her pregnancy. Every time you let them tear me down to protect your precious secret. What do you want from me?" He reached for my hand, but I pulled away. "I want you to feel what I felt." I walked to the door. "I want you to watch everything you built crumble around you just like I did." "Are you going to tell Hallie?" "No," I smiled. "You are." "What?" "You have 24 hours to tell Hallie about the baby, about the affair, about everything." I checked my watch. "If you don't, I'll do it for you. And trust me, my version will be much less flattering." You're bluffing. I pulled out a USB drive. Try me. I have every email, every hotel receipt, every secret meeting documented. I even have the security footage of you trying to bribe the medical records clerk. Faith, please. He stood up, desperation in his eyes. We can work this out. I'll do anything. Anything? I laughed. Like what? Stand up to your mother? Tell the truth about your vasectomy? Be a man for once in your life? His face hardened. You've changed. No, I've woken up. I tossed the USB drive onto his desk. 24 hours, Stephen. Tick-tock. As I walked out, my phone buzzed. A message from Marley. We need to talk. Hallie's asking questions. I typed back. Better hurry. Your time's running out. Another buzz. This time from Hallie. What did you mean about Marley's condition? She's not answering my calls. I smiled and put my phone away. The dominoes were falling exactly as planned. Stephen would panic, try to damage control. Marley would crack under pressure. Hallie would piece it together. And Linda? Linda would have to watch her perfect family implode. Back in our bedroom, I started packing a suitcase. Not because I planned to leave, not yet, but because I wanted Stephen to see it, to feel the fear I'd felt all these years. My phone buzzed again. Juliana, you okay? I looked at myself in the mirror. Really looked. For the first time in years, I didn't see the woman they'd tried to break. I saw someone stronger, someone who'd finally stopped swallowing other people's lies. Better than okay, I texted back. The truth is finally coming out. And then what? I heard Stephen's footsteps on the stairs, heavy with dread. And then, I typed, we watch it all burn. Have you seen Marley? Hallie cornered me in the office parking lot 3 days later. Her mascara was smeared, hands shaking as she clutched her phone. She's not answering anyone's calls. Really? I adjusted my sunglasses. That's strange. Have you asked your brother? Stephen? Why would he? Her voice trailed off. What aren't you telling me? I think you already know, Hallie. I opened my car door. You're just afraid to say it out loud. She's my best friend, Hallie's voice cracked. She wouldn't... Like you wouldn't mock your sister-in-law at her own baby shower? I slid into the driver's seat. People surprise you. I left her standing there, one hand on her pregnant belly, the other still clutching her silent phone. Phase 2 was proceeding exactly as planned. Back at my desk, Annalise rushed over with a coffee. You won't believe what just happened. Stephen tried to access his medical records again. Let me guess. He wanted to check if they were still there? Better. She leaned in close. He offered the clerk $10,000 this time. Cash. I smiled, opening my laptop. And she reported him to the medical board. They're launching an investigation. Perfect. I pulled up my email and clicked send on a message I'd prepared days ago. Speaking of investigations, what did you just do? Sent an anonymous tip to Linda's country club friends about some interesting charges on Stephen's credit card. I sipped my coffee. The Golden Grove Hotel isn't exactly discreet with their billing descriptions. My phone buzzed. Linda's name flashed on the screen. Faith! Her voice was tight with forced politeness. We need to talk. About Stephen. Oh? I kept my tone neutral. What about him? These rumors. These horrible stories people are spreading. You have to help us stop them. Rumors? I checked my watch. Right on schedule. Like the rumor about him checking into hotels with pregnant women who aren't his wife? Silence. Or maybe the rumor about him trying to bribe medical staff? Those kinds of rumors, Linda? This isn't funny. Her voice cracked. Our family's reputation... Your family's reputation was built on lies. I cut her off. And lies have a way of coming out. What do you want? Want? I laughed. I want 7 years of my life back. I want every tear I cried over your cruel comments back. I want every dollar spent on fertility treatments back. We can pay you. I don't want your money, Linda. I want the truth. All of it. In front of everyone. She hung up. Within minutes, my phone exploded with messages. Stephen, Hallie, even Yahir. I ignored them all. Instead, I opened my truth file folder and added today's recordings. Everything meticulously documented, dated, backed up. 7 years of evidence, building to one moment. Juliana appeared at my desk. Hallie just called me crying about Marley. Did she figure it out? Almost. She said Marley finally answered her text, said she's leaving town for a while, needs space. I nodded, running away, just like I predicted. Her faith! Juliana lowered her voice. Are you sure about this? It's getting messy. It was always messy. I showed her my phone. Look what Stephen just texted. Please stop this. I'll do anything. What are you going to do? Nothing. I deleted his message. He had his chance to tell the truth. Now it's my turn. My phone buzzed again. An email from my lawyer. Documents ready for review. Meeting tomorrow at 9? Perfect timing, I typed back. Annalise returned with more coffee. Security called. Stephen's downstairs demanding to see you. I stood up, smoothing my dress. Good. Time for the next phase. In the lobby, Stephen paced like a caged animal. Faith, please. Let's talk about this. Now you want to talk? I kept my voice low, professional. After 7 years of silence, I'll tell them everything. The vasectomy, all of it. Just not about Marley. Please. Why? I stepped closer. Because she's carrying what I never could. Your miracle baby. His face crumpled. You don't understand. No, you don't understand. I pulled out my phone, showed him the email from my lawyer. In exactly 1 month, at your family reunion, everything comes out. Every lie, every betrayal, every secret. You'll destroy us all. No, Stephen. I walked toward the elevator. You did that yourself. I'm just making sure everyone knows it. As the doors closed, I caught his reflection in the mirror. The golden boy, finally tarnished. My phone buzzed one last time. A message from Marley. I'm sorry. I never meant for this to happen. Too late for sorry. The truth was coming, and it would burn everything in its path. Something's wrong with Marley. Hallie ambushed me outside the grocery store, her eyes red from crying. She's not returning my calls, and when I went to her apartment, her neighbor said she hasn't been home in days. I loaded my groceries into my trunk. Have you asked your brother about it? What does Stephen have to do with... Her face went pale. No, you're not suggesting... I'm not suggesting anything. I closed the trunk. But it's interesting that they both started acting strange around the same time, isn't it? Stop it. Hallie grabbed my arm. Just stop with these mind games. What do you know? Why don't you ask Stephen about the Golden Grove Hotel? I gently removed her hand. Or better yet, ask your mother why she's been calling my lawyer. Hallie's phone buzzed. She glanced at it, then froze. It's Marley. She's at the women's clinic across town. She says she needs me. Better hurry then. I got into my car. Wouldn't want to keep your best friend waiting, especially in her condition. I watched in my rearview mirror as Hallie's hand instinctively went to her own pregnant belly, realization dawning on her face. At home, Linda was waiting on my doorstep. This has gone far enough, she said as I carried my groceries inside. She followed uninvited. Whatever Stephen did, whatever you think you know, think I know. I set the bags on the counter. Linda, I have proof of everything. Would you like to see it? You're just trying to hurt us because you can't have children. I laughed, the sound sharp enough to make her flinch. Still clinging to that story, even after seeing Stephen's medical records? Those records could be fake. Really? I pulled out my phone. Should we call the medical board? I'm sure they'd love to hear about Stephen's attempts to bribe their staff. Linda sank into a kitchen chair. What do you want from us? The truth. I started unpacking groceries, calm as could be. All of it, in front of everyone. You'll destroy this family. No, Linda. Your precious son did that when he chose lies over honesty. When he let you torture me for years over something that was his choice, his secret. My phone buzzed. A text from Hallie. Oh my God. Oh my God. She's pregnant. Marley's pregnant. Another buzz. Stephen. Hallie knows. Please. We need to talk. Looks like the truth is already starting to come out. I showed Linda the messages. Tick-tock. This will kill Hallie, Linda whispered. Like watching her mock me at her baby shower almost killed me. I leaned across the counter. Like every snide comment about my barren womb almost killed me. Linda's phone rang. Hallie's picture flashed on the screen. Better answer that, I said. Sounds like your perfect family needs damage control. She answered with shaking hands. Hallie, sweetheart, calm down. What do you mean Marley's pregnant? No, I'm sure there's an explanation. Stephen? Why would Stephen? I watched her face crumple as Hallie's hysterical voice carried through the speaker. 7 years of karma, delivered in one phone call. I'll be right there, Linda stood, her perfectly composed facade cracking. Faith, please. Please what? Keep quiet? Protect your family's reputation? I opened the door. Sorry, Linda. I'm done being your family's secret keeper. After she left, I called Juliana. It's happening. Hallie knows. How bad? Nuclear, I smiled, and the family reunion is still 2 weeks away. Are you ready for this? Once everything comes out, I've been ready for 7 years. I opened my laptop, pulling up the presentation I'd been preparing. They wanted a show? They're getting one. My phone buzzed again. An email from Annalise. You need to see this. Stephen just tried to access the medical records again. This time he left a threat. Perfect. More evidence for my file. A knock at the door made me jump. It was Abel, Hallie's husband, looking shell-shocked. Is it true? He asked. About Marley and Stephen? I let him in. Would you like to see the proof? No. He sat heavily on my couch. I need to understand. How long have you known? Long enough. I sat across from him. The question is, what are you going to do about it? Hallie's devastated. She's talking about moving back home with her parents. And the family reunion? Linda wants to cancel it. I shook my head. Oh no. The show must go on. In fact, I pulled out my invitation. Make sure everyone comes. It's going to be unforgettable. You're enjoying this, aren't you? Enjoying? I thought about 7 years of pain, of silence, of shame. No, Abel, I'm not enjoying this. I'm finally getting justice. After he left, I added his visit to my documentation. 2 weeks until the reunion. 2 weeks until every lie, every secret, every moment of cruelty came to light. Let them run. Let them hide. The truth was coming, and this time, no one could stop it. The Morgan family reunion buzzed with nervous energy. Linda had tried to cancel it, of course, but tradition won out. Now they all sat in the country club's grand hall, picking at their food and avoiding eye contact. I adjusted the laptop connected to the projector, feeling Juliana squeeze my hand. You've got this. Stephen sat at the far end of the table, looking like he hadn't slept in weeks. Hallie was absent, officially on bed rest, but we all knew she was hiding at her parents' house, devastated by her brother's betrayal. Marley, unsurprisingly, had fled the state. Before we start the usual speeches, I stood up, my voice carrying across the tense room. I'd like to make a toast. Linda's wine glass shook. Faith, please. To family, I continued, clicking the first slide. A wedding photo of Stephen and me filled the screen. To 7 years of lies, secrets, and shame. Don't do this, Stephen pleaded. Why not? I clicked to the next slide. My medical records, the fertility treatments, the hormone therapy bills. Afraid of everyone seeing the truth? What truth? Yahir's voice cracked. Stephen, what is she talking about? Next slide. Stephen's vasectomy records, dated 3 months after our wedding. Gasps filled the room. The truth about why I could never give you grandchildren? I looked directly at Linda. The truth about why your perfect son watched me endure years of invasive treatments, knowing exactly why I couldn't get pregnant. Stephen, Linda's face had gone ash white. Tell me this isn't real. It's real, I clicked again. Hotel receipts, credit card statements, security camera stills. Just like his affair with Marley is real. Just like her pregnancy is real. The room erupted. Yahir stood up so fast his chair crashed backward. Linda covered her face with trembling hands. Various aunts and uncles muttered in shocked disapproval. I can explain, Stephen started. Explain what? I cut him off. How you let your family torture me for years? How you watched your mother suggest essential oils for my barren womb while knowing you'd had a vasectomy? You promised you wouldn't tell, he whispered. No, I protected your secret because I loved you, because I thought you'd eventually do the right thing. I clicked to the next slide, the medical board complaint about his bribery attempts. Instead, you tried to erase the evidence. Is this why Hallie won't leave her room? Linda's voice shook. Because her best friend and her brother betrayed her? Yes. I moved through the slides methodically. Just like Stephen betrayed me. Just like this entire family betrayed basic human decency every time you mocked me, shamed me, suggested I wasn't a real woman because I couldn't have children. We didn't know, Yahir protested. Didn't you? I played the audio recordings. Linda's voice filled the room, suggesting divorce if I couldn't fulfill my role. Hallie's cruel jokes at the baby shower, every cutting comment, every deliberate hurt. Turn it off, Linda begged. Why? Isn't this what family's about? Sharing everything? I clicked to the final slide, a copy of my divorce papers. No more secrets, no more lies, no more protecting people who never protected me. Stephen stood up. Faith, stop. Please. I'll do anything. Anything? I laughed. Like what? Stand up to your mother? Tell the truth? Be a man? It's too late for that. I loved you, he said. No, you loved your image, your family's reputation, their approval. I unplugged the laptop. Well, congratulations. It's all gone now. Linda suddenly rushed from the room, hand over her mouth. Yahir followed, looking years older than he had an hour ago. You've destroyed this family? An aunt accused. No, I corrected her. Your precious golden boy did that. I just exposed the rot beneath the shine. I gathered my things, feeling lighter than I had in years. Juliana stood beside me, a silent pillar of support. Faith, Stephen called as I reached the door. What happens now? I turned back one last time, taking in the wreckage of the perfect family facade. Now you get to feel what I felt, exposed, humiliated, alone. I smiled. Consider it my parting gift. Outside, the summer air felt clean, fresh. My phone buzzed with a message from Hallie. I'm sorry for everything. You didn't deserve what we did to you. No, I typed back. I didn't. But at least now everyone knows the truth. Juliana linked her arm through mine as we walked to the car. How do you feel? I thought about the years of pain, the carefully gathered evidence, the calculated execution of my plan. Free, I said finally. I feel free. Behind us, through the country club's windows, I could see the family in chaos. Linda sobbing, Stephen slumped in defeat, relatives arguing and pointing fingers. 7 years of karma, delivered in one devastating presentation. They wanted to know what a real woman looked like? Well, now they knew. A real woman doesn't break. She gets even. You have a visitor. Juliana poked her head into my office. Should I tell her you're busy? I looked up from my laptop to see Hallie standing in the doorway. her baby bump now prominent. Her eyes were red-rimmed, but her chin was set with determination. "It's okay," I nodded. "Let her in." Hallie sat carefully in the chair across from my desk. "The divorce was finalized yesterday." "I know." I closed my laptop. "My lawyer called. Steven's leaving town." She twisted her wedding ring. "Moving to Seattle. Marley's already there. Following his pregnant mistress," I said. "How noble of him." "Mom's in therapy." Hallie's voice cracked. "Dad moved out last week. Says he can't look at her the same after everything." I waited, letting the silence stretch between us. "I've been thinking about the baby shower," Hallie finally continued. "About all the cruel things I said, the way we treated you." "Save your apology," I interrupted. "I didn't do this for forgiveness." "Then why?" "Because the truth matters." I pulled out my old medical files. "Because every woman who's ever been shamed, blamed, or made to feel less than deserves to be heard." Hallie reached for the files with trembling hands. "I found my own copies of these. The treatments, the procedures." She looked up, tears streaming down her face. "How did you survive it?" "I almost didn't." I took the files back, but then I realized something. The shame wasn't mine to carry. It was yours. All of yours. My phone buzzed. A message from Linda. "Please, we need to talk." I showed it to Hallie. "Your mother's been texting daily. She's desperate to fix things." Hallie wiped her eyes. "But you can't fix 7 years of cruelty with an apology." "No," I agreed. "You can't." "I left Abel," Hallie said suddenly. "After everything came out, I couldn't trust anyone anymore." "That's not my problem." "I know." She stood awkwardly. I wanted you to know that you opened my eyes to everything." As she reached the door, she turned back. "The women's support group you started, the one for people dealing with toxic families, is it okay if I come?" I studied her face, no longer the smug, entitled princess, but someone broken and rebuilding. "First meeting's Tuesday. Don't be late." After she left, Juliana brought me coffee. That was unexpected. The whole family's imploding. I showed her my phone. More messages from Linda, from Yahir, even from Stephen's aunts and uncles, all begging for reconciliation, for forgiveness, for a chance to explain. "Are you going to respond?" "No." I deleted them all. They had 7 years to speak up. Now it's my turn to be silent. My computer pinged with a new email. The online support group I'd started had doubled in size overnight. Women sharing similar stories, finding strength in truth, breaking free from family shame. "Your story went viral," Annalise said, joining us with printouts. 3 news outlets want interviews about toxic family dynamics and fertility stigma. "Book them," I said. "It's time more women spoke up." My phone rang. Stephen's number. I declined the call and pulled up his last text. "I'm sorry for everything. You were stronger than all of us." "Damn right I was," I muttered, blocking his number. Juliana perched on my desk. "So what now? You've exposed the truth, started a movement, helped other women find their voice. Now?" I opened my laptop, showing her the outline for my book. "Now I make sure no other woman suffers in silence. No more family secrets, no more shame, no more protecting people who don't deserve protection." "The Morgans won't like that." "The Morgans don't matter anymore." I started typing. "What matters is that somewhere, right now, another woman is sitting silent at a family dinner, swallowing her truth to keep the peace. And your story will help her find her voice." Juliana smiled. "Exactly." I looked at the growing list of support group members, at the interview requests, at the messages from women sharing their own stories of family betrayal and redemption. My phone buzzed one last time. A message from Marley. "You were right. About everything. I'm having a girl." I didn't respond. Instead, I turned back to my laptop and type the words I wish someone had told me 7 years ago. Your silence will not protect them. Your shame is not your burden. Your truth is your power. And a real woman? A real woman doesn't break. She rises. She speaks. She shows others the way out of darkness. The cursor blinked, waiting for more. But I was done waiting, done being silent, done protecting lies. It was time for other women to find their voice, and I would help them, one truth at a time.